morning. Welcome again to Morning Devotions. Thank you again for our time together. I'd like us to go back in our thoughts today to one of Paul's early sermons, and he talks about King David because he brings out a very important truth. In Acts 13, beginning with verse 22, "But God removed Saul and replaced him with David, a man about whom God has said, I have found David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He will do everything I want him to do." Now I want you to notice, God had said. This is what heaven said about David. Now you say, well, Pastor Sumrall, David committed sin with Bathsheba. He had her husband murdered. Look at all the da-da-da-da. Yeah. It is amazing to me how people remember the thing you did wrong, and they don't remember a lifetime of what you did right. I was recently reading a Facebook thing that one of our young people forwarded to me, and it was a professor who wrote a series of equations on the board, and the first one was wrong, but all the rest of them were right. And the students couldn't see all the right because all they could see was the wrong. And he explained to them, this is the fact of life. People will always look at the one thing you did wrong and not see all of the wonderful things you did right. People today, all they want to do is look at David and say the one thing he did wrong, which most scholars say took place in about a 3-month period. So it's 3 months out of a lifetime. He screwed up. Now, he screwed up big time. I make no excuses for that. But this is the truth I want you to get. Heaven thinks about you based on your heart and your will. Heaven does not remember you on the basis of your sin. That's under the blood. Heaven remembers you because of your heart and your desires. Now, you just need to sit back and get a hold of that for just a few minutes. When heaven speaks about you, when God speaks about you, he doesn't give a litany of your failures. When heaven speaks of you, heaven says of you, look at the desires of their heart. When heaven speaks of you, heaven says, would you look at the heart that they have? Heaven doesn't bring up all of your past. It's under the blood. Heaven looks at your desires and your heart. And when heaven speaks of you, it doesn't speak of the one screw-up in your life. It speaks of your heart and your desires. Now, I don't say that in any way to excuse people's sinful lives, please. But I say that for some of you that have lived wonderful lives before God. You've been zealous for God your whole life like David. And you had one mess up, one Galatians 6 slip up in your life. And the devil beats you with the condemnation of that thing like a stick. And you just need to let your heart expand a little bit and realize people might speak of me on the basis of my one failure. But when heaven speaks of me, it speaks of my heart and speaks of my desire for God.